West, y'all.
Figures. Up to you, Doctor, if you want to talk about that segment of your life, bro. But like, hey,
Well, it's still whatever.
wait, if you start talking about it, let me just go like that.
Yeah, because this guy is planning what's the name of the podcast you're planning?
Auckland City Tales. Auckland City Tales of the Nightlife Once Upon a Time in Auckland City.
Oh, yeah. You're starting that.
I want to do it, but I only want to do 12. But like, yeah. Or just from when I've caught up with some of the boys, like at Mum's doing that, when I saw Clement, and then just, it's like, what have you been up to, dogs? Mowing grass, you reckon?
That'd be
Mowing
cool.
grass, you reckon?
Bro, it'd be cool if you got Sick on, like Mr. Sick on there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got some good stories.
But that's the thing. I want to do it, but I don't want to put people out there and then they be like, oh, like fuck a man, but more I don't want to put people in trouble, like, in case that shit comes back.
You didn't have your security license. You're doing
In the
laws.
house. But now it's cool seeing the boys that like you worked on the door with doing new things, like you, like totally something different.
It's a good idea having a podcast about, talking about what happens there in the city nightlife and on the doors. But how sensitive is some of those topics if you were to bring it up? Like, you have to change some names around, or
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's changed massively, bro. Like, from when we did the doors to now, what I've seen. Well, I didn't really go out, but when I do go out, like for a dinner or go out for a drink, everything's changed. Like, everything's legit run smoothly. Whereas before, in house, we had no microphones going on. Like, you can't hear anybody at the top. Oh, there's two people coming up, but now it's all like run professionally.
Yeah.
Everyone's got COAs. Don't see that many fights, which is good. But I suppose our era back then, we were right in the middle of the city,
Yeah.
and there was only like 2 R&B nightclubs. They were going off till like 6 a.m. back then, and we were one of them,
So back in that era, like what year was that around about? Or when you started, what was your first year? When was that?
9 or 2010, I think. 2010, yeah. My brother-in-law at the time, he ran a security firm, and then I just jumped on board with them, and then it was all about who you knew, all the boys from Kelston, and then Lee jumped on. There's all old boys, or some of the or Kelston old boys, or boys that have been on the door for a long time. Like that boy, I think the Ron that was here, I saw on one of your podcasts, big guy.
I'm not too sure
The
though.
Baldy. Oh, I saw him on one of your podcasts, and he was an OG. He used to work at the nightclub next to Lounge. Starts with
No, Ricky.
Rikinos, yeah.
No.
Oh, he's a rapper, eh?
I think so.
Bucky.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Oh, his rap name.
Oh.
But it's Ron, eh?
Yeah, Ron. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him that was on one of your podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
Yeah. He's the old Roy Rikinos guy.
Oh, shit. He's doing like youth work now.
yeah,
eh?
usually. Yeah. He's
But
nice,
see, that's
nice
it,
dude.
man. That's the thing, bro. Like, obviously, guys wake up to the 360 or do a leg and do something. Hey, life change. Life change.
He's doing music. He's working for a place called Crescendo in Avondale. They help youth like get into music. They got music studios and that. They got podcast studios as well, and they just do like mentoring
Well, that's me, man.
No, that's a
for
good
kids
job.
and stuff.
I feel like Sosh too does stuff like that, give back to the community, help kids.
Mm.
I feel like that's a rewarding job. If you can help somebody get their life back on track or something, that's a
There's a lot of old boys doing that sort of stuff.
yeah.
It's because I never knew there's a thing where you can get funding for it. Like, if you have an idea of anything to help the community, like if you have a skill that you want to teach the youth or anything like that, like you can get funding for that easy. I think it's called social enterprise or the community enterprise. Because a lot of there's a lot of organizations if you see on social media around, like for Pacifica, might be mental health or helping or anything. There's heaps of them out there, and it's I think it's just a trend now, eh?
There's definitely funding out there. You just got to make sure that when you apply for it, there you have to tick all the boxes to make sure you get the funding, not actual funding, but it's for something else, you know. Seen that happen before.
You mean like the free security events and you want us to work for a Mac guy afterwards? I got you, man. Whatever you want to eat.
Come pick up a pay or do the blocker at the back. Come here for a feed. Oh, bro.
But yeah, man, coming back to your podcast, like that sort of, do you think it'll be pretty sensitive? Like, how would you run it? Would you have to change the names around?
Yeah, I'd censor names.
You can't have any video, eh?
No, I wouldn't have any video.
Just audio.
But like for me, like just to jump on, because it's a good way to reflect on life. It's a perfect way to reflect on life. Like I know through my grieving and a lot of like my positive, like to get myself out of a low, I reflect like through photos or even like when the memories resurface on Facebook and that. But to see where we've come from, from the doors, like it's going back some time, man. Almost like more than 10 years ago now. But it's a good way to sort of like remember them, because like whenever we see each other, like especially if we get like two other doormen that we all worked in the same team, man, you just can't help but just like you still, you know, because you have to say something about an event that happened on the doors.
And everyone comes from different walks of life. You know, you got old OGs, you got the boys, young boys, just from school coming through. Boys that they went to school with the, the guy they were working for at the time. It's not only going there just like, you think, oh, you're a bouncer. If you're going with a mentality, you go with a mentality to work. You think that you're going to go there to beat up people, then you shouldn't be going in the first place. It's all about customer service and stuff, but the main thing is like, man, we had some good laughs there. The mock spur, like, we had some real good laughs, and then after work we just have a debrief and have a few beers, and then still mocking each other. It's pretty good. Eh?
Camaraderie, solid. Eh? Well, what did you say about Justin Suffer? You said, dude. Like, good on him, mate. He's doing good. You know that controlled aggression into a new career. That's mean.
Yeah. I don't know who's still doing the doors these days. I mean, from our era. And it was, well, probably no one's got their COA.
What's that?
Because back then, it just came out, eh? Whereas before, it was just everyone just work on the door, work in-house. But then security license came into play.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think maybe a couple of years before we finished up, that came into play to get your license. And majority of all of us had it. No?
Yeah, it was like a background security check / like a criminal as well.
Don't want any criminals at the doors.
Well, apparently the doors, some of the older guys used to say like they had to refresh like every 9 months. But whereas like you get a COA now, they give you the blue tag, then they give you the whatever the colour is for the 5 years carrying over. And so yeah, your security license is valid for 5 years. So I don't know how much it costs, but if you go work for like a crew like Red Badge, you just once you get the 5-year one, then you leave. Then you get your own thing.
Oh, true. Like they Red Badge, that's like Eden Park and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're like the big group, like the big mass events, like Red Badge.
Yeah, look back on that now. Like there was a few events that we were running at the door. We'll be looking at, and you have some of the owner of the club. Some of their friends will come through, and we have one guy that always cover charge. Always know, make sure you pay your cover charge to come through, not knowing that these are the friends of the owner of the club. He gets upstairs, and then the owner comes running down. The Indian guy goes, "There's no cover charge." So like, there's no cover charge. So we always look at the other guy, big dude, no names, but big dude. I said, "Wow, where's our cut, bro?" Yeah. He's already in his car, gone straight over after we knock off. Oh man, some classic lady. We asked for a tip or something, but never, if it was $15 a cover charge, it's 3 of us, $5 each, something, eh? This guy, bro, straight in his pocket, eh? Straight in his pocket, bro.
Some heartless doorman back in the day, man.
But on social media, they have those comedians doing this type of people, and do those little skits. Like, as a doorman, like, what are the different types of people that come in, like get turned away or or wearing the wrong clothes, or drunk, or
something with the bad hairdo. Mohawk with blue colour on it.
But that's right, eh? That's like you gotta look the part, eh?
Yeah, and clothing, like we try to avoid red and blue, only because,
because of the
gangs like Crips and Bloods and stuff like that. We just don't want that inside the club, and they might tick people off in there, and there's a massive scrap, you know what I mean? So
where do you draw the line with that? With the blue and if they're all blue?
Yeah,
or
that's too much. It's like red shoes, red pants, red jacket, red t-shirt, red hat.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, man. It's like the you. Have you seen that your people? You people?
Yeah.
It's like that. When that guy goes into the barber shop and everyone's wearing blue, and he was like, "Yo, Holmes, what's up with y'all?" He goes, "Did I miss the memo?" He's wearing like a red hoodie.
That's once I was working on the door with Mr. Sick. He's a very funny guy, very, very firm and straight up to his the customers that come through.
Mm.
There's this big islander dude. He was quite lethargic, and he was wearing a V neck. It just looked real wrong. Mr. Sick and Dion Briggs. Why I'm not wearing any colours? Look at your top.
Where's the rest of your top?
You have a look in the mirror before you come out tonight. Oh man, he's funny. He's classic, man. Yeah.
Yeah, mad love out to lost very fuck. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday. He's been going live on Facebook and Instagram, and I just jump on his lives and watch it. Like Nonny Briggs, and he's just being lost, just trying to get everyone, trying to mock me and stuff on there. don't let your wife around Nonny. Saying shit like that. I'm like, everyone's watching your funny post. He's a crack up dude, man. Yeah.
So the clothes, that's the one. What about how drunk do you have to be? Oh, obviously you can't be too drunk.
Yeah.
With the cover charge, if you can do the cover charge, you're all good, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No. To be honest, intoxication levels are. We always had to look out for that, but man, to be honest, it's generally our own friends and our own families that come in wasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell yourself, he's the door to me.
When you're working on the door.
So how awkward is that when a family member, cousin comes in?
Man, it's even awkward when you tell them you're not working tonight and they turn up and you're working.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's usually them, and then they're the ones that cause the drama, cause the trouble, and then they expect a ride home after shift. Fuck, you know what I mean? Making my shift hard.
It's like saying it's your party, when you have the party and it's at your house, and then the first ones to start playing up is them, and you got all your friends over. It's like that. Awkward. And then they go, "Cuz man, what's the side problem?" Shit like that, man. That's exactly how it is at work. I was like, fuck, it's awkward, eh?
But if I look back at it now, like for some of us boys back then, that was our bread and butter to feed our families. Whether it's a Wednesday to Saturday night, 4 nights a week, that money will that's our bread and butter for our kids. But then you have the family members come in and start trouble, and I just felt that if you look back now, they're selfish for doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that to them if that was their bread and butter for their kids and their family. And I mean, we laugh about it now, but back then for some of us, that was our only income we had.
Yeah.
So shout out to all you cousins. Thanks for making my life hard back then.
But even to the doggos that and they started it, man. Like fuck, that was the plug, man. Like I remember at the time, like fuck, I was just scraping $400 a week, and fucking water was coming in it went from 6 months to 3 months, bro. There were days where I have no customers come through the shop, and fuck, if it wasn't for the doors, man, fuck, that's what tied me over, like fucking, it was called petrol light. When the petrol light was on, bro, and I was like, dogs, can I get a ride? Because fuck, our struggle was real, bro. Like, a lot of people go, bro, he's got a mean job, fucking just standing around, do cover charge, but fuck, we were standing there fucking long hours.
Yeah.
Long hours that we almost feel like those gears and the Chinese ones that work the late hours. We'll take those shifts, we'll take it, yeah, man. Like, this guy used to play Saturday football, he still show up for shift. Like, that's hard, man. Especially when you're expected to show up to the club. Like, because of the sponsors and stuff like that. But he got mad respect for guys like this, because this guy would take his kids to footy, then play, and then expected to be there for the reserves game. That's a long day, man. Especially if you look back at it like that. And not everyone can say that, especially when the family come in.
You know who I am. And then you start having a few beers after the game with the topside boys after our game, and then knowing that you start work at 10 o'clock and it's about 10 to 8. Fuck, 2 more hours. I gotta get home, shower, get ready. 9 o'clock comes, texts one of the boys that does the roster. I can't come in tonight. You're opening, bro. You're opening at 10 o'clock. That's the worst, man. You know, if you know you're gonna, look back. I wish I knew what I know now. That would have made it a bit easier for Jeremy and Dom. You know, putting the stress on them, saying I can't come in. He's like, bro, you're my next door neighbor. You should be at work.
Yeah, it's funny because people don't realize. You know, when you talked about how that's your bread and butter. Like, I'm working. I need food on the table. I need a roof over my head. And, you know, people, it's sort of like if you're in a business and, you know, your family comes to expect like a discount but that's your bread and butter thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, huh?
Yeah, it is. Oh, they, none of you got any, you know, you could get any cheap drinks or stuff like, or they bring their own alcohol in and then the bouncer upstairs sees it and then they, I got to tell your cousin, he's got to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's bad. Like,
yeah, I try to avoid seeing them, but man, like I said back then, there wasn't many R&B nightclubs going on. There was a couple, and ours was on High Street, right in the middle of town. All the boys would come through there, and then they'll finish off at Barcio, which is up in Key Road.
Yeah,
and Barcio would go what 5, 6 in the morning, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Remember when we get a right to 9? Fuck, we didn't get a 9. And people doing the walk of shame to church.
Oh, this is before the law changed.
Before the law changed,
Yeah, coming out of Barcio and the daylights up, it's ugly.
See, all that time, 2010, that's like after my time, because I was going out late 90s, early 2000s, and man, those all nighters, man. The Friday night, all night to Saturday morning, I come out and and the sun's up, you know. Like I remember going to Supper Club when Supper Club was open. I don't know if it was still open 2010 around that time.
Yeah,
when you guys were working.
Everyone would have went back then. They back to Supper Club afterwards at the end because it goes to the morning.
Yeah.
Right through, yeah.
Man, if I look back at that one, that's ugly, man.
Yeah, because right next to Key Road, you know what I mean? So everyone just from Key Road, from town, they just all meet up in the middle. And then, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they're still drinking. I don't know how that little place could open, like hold that many people in there.
It probably wasn't even bloody proper, like with the fire alarm went off. Damn.
But then, when I think about it, those all-nighters in town, where do we get the money to last that long? These days, man, it's so expensive.
I think it was alright because we were on the doors, we were working, so we'll be, we just finished work, we'll have a few staffies, and then, I mean, I'm not saying I went there all the time, but we have been there a couple. But yeah, you're right. Like if I wasn't working, could I have had the money back then to last drinking all night then going to supper club? I didn't think I could. Like I said, those couple of shifts a week at the time, because I was studying at the time, that those were there was some money that I could like get over the line for the next week as well, because back then student allowance wasn't that much.
Yeah.
So
what were you studying?
For just freight forwarding. Just did a certificate in freight forwarding, importing and exporting. Yeah. I look about it, I should have carried on with that. But didn't end up doing it. Didn't end up the job I went into. I didn't end up going into that, but that's another story.
But I mean, of all the guys that I know, bro, like, shucks, you put in the work, too. Like, I wouldn't say you fell short of anything you tried to strive for. Like, you've done a lot in your time. Like, like looking back, like as far as school, like I was telling Kim, like, bro, you're part of the era, man. Like, that's the gold era of rugby league at Custom. Like when the guys beforehand, they probably didn't do it justice by getting us so far. Yet when they left school, they played Fox, and they're all like Glenora doing their route. But when you left school, man, you guys left the cabinet pretty full, eh? Like going that far back. If you think about it. Yeah.
So how come that pathway, rugby league rather than rugby union?
So, in rugby league, it was actually my mum at the time. I was 4 years old. My mum took me to my first training, and I started playing Newland Stags with just some boys I'm good friends with them now. But I started at 4 years old at Newland Stags, and I've always just played league. And the only time I ever played rugby was Kelston, I think under 15s, or I think I had one season. Yeah, I think when I was at Blockhouse Intermediate, and they had the Bill McLaren, Roller Mills and all that. Obviously, Bill was too heavy for Walter Dixon and Roller Mills, so I had a run at Bill McLaren, and then from there, I've just always played league. I've never played rugby. I didn't know how to. My whole family were rugby players.
Oh yeah.
All my mum's brothers and that. No one would come watch me play. No one would come watch me play because it's league. No one watches league, And they're all rugby boys. So then I went to Kelston. I made the under 15s team. We toured Australia, and that was the only time I ever played rugby. Because I played prop in league, but when I went to rugby, I didn't know, I was too small for prop. Like doing the scrimmaging and all that. So I ended up playing first five, halfback, and then I think because I was just short, didn't have the build for 6 or 8 at the time.
That's crazy because Sofotu was on here and he played 8 for your 15.
Sofotu was our 8 that year, yeah. Yeah, Sofotu was our 8 that year, yeah. And I was his halfback. Akavi was 10. Yeah, Roland Sanula was 12.
They relate.
We some good players in that team, bro.
Yeah,
some good players in that team. But I've just always played league, bro, and that's always been my passion, whether it's playing or coaching or whatever. League's always been a big part of my life.
So you started at Stags, but why? How have you ended up at Ponsonby then? So what was the who there?
I knew this question would come up. But I've been to a few clubs actually. But Stags was at the time, I think it was just closer for mum and dad to take me there because my cousin Mickey was at Newland Stags, so I went to Newland Stags. Being a West boy, grew up in Blockhouse Bay, I think that was a bit closer, either that or Bay Roscoe. I went to Newland Stags in the end. And Ponsonby only came about when I was year 9. Me and my cousin Stan, we went to. He got asked to go to Ponsonby, and I just went along with him. And then, man, I've loved the club. I've never looked back. No, I have left the club and gone overseas and gone to Point Chev and Northcote and whatnot. But Ponsonby holds a special place in my heart, and that's home for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That club has pretty much given me the opportunity to make these other teams with who I played with. And now I'm still part of the club now.
Yeah. Besides the opportunities at Ponsonby, what was some of the things about that made you say, "Man, this is my club"? Compared to where you came from, like Stags.
I think the opportunity they took us on a tour to Australia, and then I made like my first massive as made the junior Kiwis playing for Ponsonby. And I made it from club and playing for school, and that was like my ticket out of there, if that makes sense. Like, gave me an opportunity to go overseas and play. If I not only like the club, but the boys that played at the club, the boys who I played with, they probably brought the best out of me too. They gave me like my best mate. He was my best man at my wedding. Sia Soliola played at the Roosters in Canberra and whatnot. I met him at school, and then we filmed then we made good friendship up at Ponsonby, and we've just been close ever since then.
So when he's been over, like you said, straight out of school, like a group of you went over to Oz. What was it for? Was it like a trial, or was it just a?
No,
was it part of the Kiwis?
No, it was a Ponsonby under 17s or 16s, just a tour.
Oh, wow.
We went over, and that's where Sia got picked up by Ricky Stewart.
Yeah.
We played St. Mary's and Penrith out there. We're only 16-year-olds. I think we played SG ball team under 18s, I think, at the time. And Sia got picked up. And then came back, packed up, and he left. I came back and with the boys, and we played for Ponsonby the year after. That's when I'm going on 17 years old. We were playing under 18s back then. There's no under 17s, other 16s and 18s. So we could play 18s 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
We played the 17s, and then I just went over to Australia. Cut long story short, I was with the Warriors. Me and Fabian Suter. We were just trying to get a part-time contract actually because we knew that this was our last year of school. We didn't get it, and then I went to Australia. Just played in the Jim Beam Cup comp over there for a team called Windsor Wolves. I was only 18, 19. And then Ricky came and watched one of my games, picked up, and then coach goes, "Oh, you want to go play 20s?" I go, "Sure." He goes, "Yeah, go play 20s Jersey Flag up at the Roosters."
Yeah.
So I was literally there for a couple of weeks and out in Windsor, which is far away out in Penrith. And I packed up, drove an hour to Bondi, and ended up staying out there.
So is that the jersey that's up in the shop?
Yeah, the one I gave you.
Yeah.
No. Can I get it back?
Like I told you, because I want to know the stories, right? Because every time someone asks me, I'm like, I'm not sure what the story is behind that jersey.
Yeah, no, that was one of my just one of my game jerseys from I was playing at the Roosters. Yeah.
So we was all young cats staying in a house, or
yep.
we
So I
families.
obviously in the gang there under 20, not on very good money, so I had to go to work. We were seeing the other boys, they were full time players, full time contracts. So we'd see Anthony Tupou. The same period wasn't there. He was always some other young boys coming through, boys from different states of Australia. And Anthony and Sia gave me a place to stay. Obviously my contract at the time wasn't enough to pay for the accommodation where they all were, and Sia, being the guy he is, he helped me out. Gave me a place to stay. Then he bought a house. His mum and dad came over, and then I ended up staying with their mum and dad as well. So their mum and dad, rest in peace to the mum, but Sia's mum and dad moved over from New Zealand, started a life over there. The dad's still living there now, been there 15, going 20 years. Been there a long time now, yeah. So if it wasn't for Sia, they gave me a place to stay, and then, I wouldn't know where to go. But then I spent a couple of years there, had my son, my first contract there. My son, so he's 17 years old now. And then came back to New Zealand, and then just been pretty much everywhere. Like a couple of years there, get back to Australia, a couple of years there now, but I'm finally back home properly now.
Settled down back here.
Settled down, yeah.
But you had a stint at Maitland, wasn't it? So
yep.
Remember after you finished up on the doors?
Yeah, when I came back,
watch your games.
I came back in 09, I think. I came back in 2007. I had my last year barter card. They didn't do barter card anymore. I was playing for North Harbour, and we lost the final to the Mount Albert Lions, obviously.
From that game, I remember Sione Taka.
Yeah,
skinny old Sione Taka turned into a monster.
Bro, he was a gun, man. He was actually a winger. When we went on that trip to Ponsonby.
Oh, so he was part of that team.
He was part of it. Yeah, Sia was the centre.
Yeah.
Robertson Godfrey was our fullback. Brett Clark was our 5'8". Sione Taka was our winger.
Sounds
gun, man. Like honestly, someone always asked me if there was two boys or a couple of guys that that didn't make it, who would it be? Like who would you be? And I was like, bro, hands down, the Taka brothers, Sione and Ival, probably the best players that I played with that didn't make it. They're sort of, and like that's massive. For me to say that because I've seen a lot of boys. I played with a lot of people. And those two are very talented. I just don't think that they realised how talented they were. Yeah. You know what I mean? They took it seriously, especially Sione's little brother, Nival. Gun. You know what I mean? Then came back, had my 21st the year, the week after we lost the final. And then from I went back to Australia, played one season there. It was just a random thing. I came back again, and then I went to Northcote. Northcote had their 100th year. The coach at the time was my old barter card coach. He goes, "Oh, do you want to come over?" So I try to gather all the boys, Sione and all them to come over to Northcote, but I ended up going over just with this guy called Darren Pittany. We went over there, and then played a season there. Went to Point Chev, had a stint there, won a Fox, and then I spent one season in Maitland, which is Newcastle. Just went there for one season. They kind of like found my love for footy again. And I went there, I dropped a lot of weight.
Yeah,
Probably
man.
like the best I had ever looked in a long time, or how I felt. I didn't keep it the way I looked, but how I felt, health wise and stuff. And
how old were you then at that time?
2015, I was 22. I was 30. I would have just been 29. Yeah, 29.
Shit, man. Fit for a 29-year-old, eh?
Yeah.
107, 106?
103. Like,
103.
that's what I mean, 104. Like, I haven't been on the
Clean
100
weight.
since I was
Yeah,
at the Roosters,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Because at that age, 29, man, you're right. Like, it's like the end of the back end of the career.
Yeah, it's a back end.
But for you to have rejuvenated and
Yeah.
love the game again, like, is
Yeah.
it because you went to that place?
Maitland.
Yeah,
went
is that-
there. Yeah, it was alright. I mean, like they took about 4 or 5 of us Kiwis over there. Yeah, we all stayed in the house. We worked together, and it was good. Like I only went there for a year, but some of the boys are still living there till this day.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that was good. We didn't do very well in the comp, but we did make work. We went to work, make money, get paid to play, and then I came back, and yeah, we can talk about something else afterwards. But wait for more questions.
But you're pretty much falling, like, from going from Maitland coming back, and then you ended up, now you're coaching dogs. Like, how did even coaching, like, fall into your lap? Because that's crazy, man.
So when I came back from Australia, I went back for one more year at Point Chev. We lost the Fox Grand Final that year in 2016 against Papakura.
Was it the one at the Trust? Was it the game at the Trust?
No, the semi-final was, but the final was at Mount Smart number 2. No, that was 2014 when we won it against Mount Albert.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I got an opportunity to to be a part of that squad, and we won one. So that's probably my first one. But for some of those boys, they're probably like their third or their second at the time. Anyway, after 16, I went back home to Ponsonby, 2017. Went back home. Me and some of the old boys that I played with at Point Chev, or some of the boys I knew along the line, Shawnee Tucker, Daniel Bell, some of these boys, we all grew up playing at Ponsonby, so we went back, formed the team, and then we fell short. We fell short that year in the semi-final at Trust Stadium. That we had to beat Otahu to get into the grand final, but we come a long way because Ponsonby the last couple of years while I've been away, they've been getting dicked, like they've been losing, like they're getting pumped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we all went. I'm not saying they did well because we went back, but I think the guy that was running at the time, he just said, "Oh, you guys all want to come back," and and then I think he knew a lot of boys. I knew, and it was just about word of mouth. So we went back, formed the team, got them back on the map, lost the semi. Anyway, we all went to Hawaii that year. We went to Hawaii. We went over there and played over there in like a comp over there. And,
Sure. What sort of comp was that? Like,
it was just it was just a Hawaii. I think they run it every year, but we got invited to go over there.
Yeah.
So we did a massive fundraiser. There's about 20 players of us that went over. Some of us took our partners. Anyway, I was sitting on. I was at just sitting there. We were having a few beers, and I just said, looked around and I looked at all the partners. I said, I'm gonna form a team. Form what? I'm gonna start a Ponsonby women's team. Laughed at me, and I said to my missus, because she came on the trip with me, and I said, I'm gonna form a team when we get back. You be keen? Because she was at Point Chev at the time. She was playing at Point Chev, and I said, you bring all you girls who you know. I'll contact who I know. Some of these girls in the team, like we could actually form a team. Everyone just thought, it's not gonna happen. This guy's just talking smack.
so what gave you the idea? Just looking at the girls.
So
the partners, because were they league players too? Like,
well,
most of them.
there's a few touch players, a few league. I just
Right.
thought like to make our club a constitutional club, we need more teams. So it's like we need a certain amount of juniors, a certain amount of senior teams.
Yeah.
So which is like 18s up, 20s, reserves, top side, and then I just thought, oh, women's. So we fell short of being a constitutional club with the numbers. So I just thought, oh, I'll add an extra team to our club. I looked around and I said, man, I'm really gonna do this. We got back and then people probably thought they forgot what I told them back in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm dead set serious. I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start this women's team.
Yeah.
So we had a master. We started with like 3 girls that turned up, 4 girls. I'm like, this is not gonna work, you know. But like my vision was like, nah, this is it. I'm gonna make sure this happens. You know, I know a lot of people doubted me and all that, didn't think it was gonna work, but I won't know until I give it a go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You won't know if you can do anything if you don't give it a go. So
How many other clubs had the women's team at that time?
yeah, Rewa, Richmond, Otahu, Mount Albert. Oh, there's about 5-6 teams, but they are very good players, very good clubs. They produce good players that come through their clubs, and I think that in New Zealand, that's probably the highest. Like that's the pinnacle you can play. Is at women's level is club, especially those clubs that they produce good like Kiwi Ferns and all that too. And it was a long shot for Ponsonby to form a team, but hey, we eventually got there. And I vividly remember they had our first game against Manorewa. We got smoked 96-0.
Yeah.
Our first game of the year, like first competition game. We played at Victoria Park underneath the Sky Tower. Every time we kick off,
Try.
kick off, try, you know. And looking and like fast forwarding a couple of years when we beat Manorewa for the first time, which would have been the year in 2019 or 20, I look back and go, I remember that day when we got pumped 96-0, and some of those girls that were in that squad that year, they played in that game when we beat Manorewa. And I've never beaten Manorewa, you know, as a coach. I've never beaten Ponsonby. I've never beaten Richmond. Never beaten Otahu. But we eventually end up beating Otahu, beat Manorewa, beat Richmond. The only club I haven't beat is Ponsonby. You know, and I'm good friends with, you know, one of the boys that's coaching there. And me as a coach, I've never beaten Ponsonby. So for us to come from getting pumped 96-0 to Manorewa, and beating Manorewa that day in 2021 or 2020, I knew that we'd come a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it started, that journey, and then like, you know, I'm pretty fortunate enough it's still going at the moment. I mean, we'll see on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've got our first muster on Wednesday, our first training for the year, and you know, we'll see how it goes.
You know that first training you had when how many girls turned up? Three
Or four, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the training with them, and then how long did it take to like get the word out and for more girls to come? Was it just a word of mouth?
Word of mouth,
that?
the power of social media. Power of social media, people you knew, and then I started. I mean, I don't like going poaching people. People like if they want to come over to Ponsonby for an opportunity, and if they're thinking, they say, for example, someone was at Otahu or whatever Ponsonby, and they're thinking about leaving, and then I feel like, oh, it's all right, maybe you want to come over. But the moment if I know that they are at that club, and then you gotta start trying to poach, like I don't like that because I wouldn't want that to happen to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want someone to come poach one of my players, and I think there's the right way to do it. Like the coaches should like reach out and talk to you about it, not just go behind your back. And I've seen it happen a lot of times. And me and the point chef coach, one of the trainers, we were real good mates. We're mates, and we always give each other shit like, "Hey, don't poach my players," hey, vice versa. But nah,
because when it comes to the men, that's a common thing, eh? Is it?
yeah, I mean,
With the men.
There's a fee either way.
yeah,
There's a
there's
trade
a fee.
fee.
Because to be honest, there's no loyalty and there's no loyalty at where you are at the moment. Like if you're playing for a club, another club chucks you a big dollar sign, but you're gonna go. You know what I mean? But I don't think there's any money in the women's because it's still growing. whereas the men's has been around a long time.
Do the women's have the transfer fee though?
No, women's is free.
Yeah.
Women's is free. I think the men, I think it's $750 minimum, $750.
Yeah.
$750 to pay a player to go from.
So so any player, like if you don't know, any player that's played like Prems or reserves in league, if you want to, like, if you say you're registered at Glenora and you want to go play at Point Chev, you can't just go and roll with the club. You got to pay. The club's got to pay a transfer fee. So if they didn't pay it, then you can't play. So
What about rugby? If you like Carlton Grammar, can you just go play for Waitemata?
who knows, bro? I have no idea.
I've always wanted to know that. Or what's the process there?
Yeah.
Because a lot of clubs can put a hold on, for example, if Liddy was playing for Waitemata Seagulls and he wanted to come play with Ponsonby, and possibly we put the transfer fee, but then Waitemata might put a hold on his transfer fee because he maybe owes fees or owes stuff. Yeah. That's how it works. You know, they might owe something, but I mean, with the women's, you don't have to pay a transfer fee.
You know, just how you're talking about having a constitutional club, and that set up. Like, how was that supposed to come about? Because I think at the time, you were trying to move up into the Fox, and had you won that final, was that not going to be able to get you guys to move up?
Yeah, so if we won that game in 2017, right, that semi-final, we would have went through and played Bay Roscoe in the grand final, and I think if we won that, we could have had the opportunity to go up to Fox. But then there was like a clause or something, I'm not quite sure, I'm not 100% sure on that, but every club had to have like a certain amount of teams.
Yeah.
You know, to be constitutional, which is 12 teams or 10. I thought it was 10, but for some reason someone told me it's 12. But don't quote me. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But that's what I mean. If we won, look now if Otahuhu played Bay Roscoe in that grand final because we lost that semi, those two end up going up to the bloody final anyway.
Yeah,
they end up taking them up to Fox.
Yeah.
So it was we just needed to make the final. And if we lost, we would have went up. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But if we won there, we'd been in Fox. But then again, they say, "Oh, you're not a constitutional team." So for me, that was all new to me because I'd never ever heard of that.
Yeah, as I remember when I was coaching in Water, that's what they said. Like some clubs couldn't move up. I think maybe clubs like Bay Roscoe.
Yeah,
Bay Roscoe couldn't break into the Fox because they didn't have enough junior teams. So it must be like 10 junior teams. That means that they don't have a senior reserves, like a senior A's, senior reserves, and then the top side. So if they didn't have one of those two teams, then there was no way they were going to move up because they didn't have the junior teams. Which was, I remember that.
And I think that, a lot of your main focus is the kids, man. Like for me, for a club to work, you have to have junior teams.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer of the kids are the ones that make the club. They're the ones that make it happen. You need six. My son's 5 this year. They're gonna have an under 6 Ponsonby team. And when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm cool. I'm gonna put my son's gonna.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. And, everyone's too much focus on the men's and the top side, but it's the kids, man. You need to have some kids in their club.
Because for some, they play 16s. I think my older brother played from 16s at Wada because they didn't have a reserves or senior A's then, and he went 16s, 21 straight into the top side, but he was still old enough to play grade football. You know, can you remember when you were still playing straight out of school? Did you have any of your mates that were playing topside? The guys playing alongside you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a common thing back then. You could play topside. I mean, I know now you have to be 18 within the year to play topside. But back then, you could play 17. Yeah. So I had some boys that came out of St. Paul's were playing Barakar at 16, 17, you know what I mean? So I think that everything has changed.
Yeah.
Everything has changed, but I know for a fact that now, I think that they just have to make sure you look out. You got to look after. You gotta look after these little kids that are coming through, not just chuck them in the deep end. Because it's a bit different from back then. Whereas these kids now, you know what I mean, body changes.
Yeah, and the longevity of the playing career. You gotta
make sure you can look after them, But no, man, even my years at Kelston, we had some good times. We won back then. We won the.
Can you remember like that far back? Like,
Yeah, I think I can. Hold on. No, yeah, I do. Yeah, that was
'cause that was
that,
good
that was
league,
that
bro.
was I think we went through that year undefeated,
Yeah.
2003. Yeah, 2003. So it was.
Because Lorenzo was on, and he spoke about how they beat St. Paul's in the Auckland comp. I think that's him and Zane Salmon that day. And like, I remember that being like, wow, really?
Yeah.
You know, because it was almost like, you know, like a lot of guys say when they don't make the first or the seconds, they might as well go play league. But for them, they were all a league squad, like Stephen Hatch and that.
Yeah.
And then to fall short of the Nationals, and then your fellas here, you won it.
Then the following year, we won it. Yeah. Man, that was like I don't know how that happened, man. Like we played St. Paul's 3 times. I knew the boys hadn't beaten them in 7 years or something. And then we beat them once in the round robin, once again in the final, and then again in the Nationals. Yeah,
See,
Nationals.
and that, like not many guys from school fucking say that.
Yeah.
Beating the same St. Paul's team, mate.
Yeah.
So those St. Paul's teams would have been stacked too.
Oh, they were. And they, like their pathway was through the Warriors.
Yeah.
All those boys that come from the Warriors, and some of us were just boys from the hood. Boys that just turn up and play.
Mm-hmm.
Not taking anything away from St. Paul's. Don't get me wrong. There's some really good players in there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
They have a
Like,
rich history of league.
oh,
play,
you
eh?
just look at all the boys that played around the world and played for the Kiwis. But where did they go to school? St. Paul's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not many of us, like you got the Gurdenbills, the Lawakis, Matt Rua, I think, went to Kelston. Not many league boys, not as much as rugby, but Soliola, Patrick Arvan, those names that.
Jeremy McCracken.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's some decent boys that come out of Kelston, but not as many as they did at St. Paul's. And then we ended up winning it that year, and that's the year that everything started unfolding for me. And Sia had that last year, and then he went to Australia, and I got picked up through the JKs for playing for school.
What position did you play in the JK?
Prop.
What number?
2003. I was. Oh, you've got my jersey.
Oh, I can't see the back of the number. That's why I was just asking.
Yeah, my jersey is hanging on your wall at the barber shop. Yeah. No, like we had some gun players. I was only 17 that year, so I could play the year after as well. Yeah, I remember I came off the bench. I think it was number 17.
Oh no, because you said you played with Yash, eh?
Yasu? Who?
Zab.
Yeah. Oh, Jan?
Yeah,
Oh, gun player, mate.
that's what I was telling Kim. I was like, bro, this dude's got some solid league history, yeah. Because our family's predominantly Mount Albert,
Yeah.
and like the club's either Richmond or Mount Albert.
Unfortunately, with him, I felt like I couldn't reach his full potential because of his injuries. But mate, someone that would always be about 6 foot, got good footwork, man, good skills, and he's such a not only is a good player, but he's such a nice person there. I remember him. He was same age group. He played 16s actually, New Zealand 16s, and I missed out on that one. I missed out. There's some gun props at the time. Sam Moore, Jan was there, and I've had one season with him. Akarana, he was hit heavy with injuries, and then I just never saw him after that. But no, I saw he's doing some good things with the fitness side of things,
Yeah.
in the gym and all that. So if you see him, man, send him my regards. I remember that guy.
You probably watch, bro. He does his Dallas State of Mining.
Yeah, he does his podcast here.
We used to call him Big Bird back in our day.
Oh,
He's the big
No, Big
Afro. Big Bird of Sesame Street. Someone of his size can really hit someone. Good footwork, good skills. And, he was just, like I said, he was just unfortunately hit with real bad injuries. Yeah, I don't think he got to reach his full potential, whether he wanted to or not. I think he was in the Warriors too. I think at the time he was playing for Mags. I remember when I played for Kelston, we lost to Mags at the senior final at Mags, and Jan, Thomas Luai, Steve Matsai. They had a pretty gun team. And we got a hiding.
Yeah.
That was in my very first year. And Jan was playing in. He's a gun. Yeah.
You know, you going back and forth to Australia and New Zealand during that time, to playing and that, like, how easy was that to go there and play in Australia to pick up a club? And was it just because you were playing all this time, like your experience and that was just easy to go play for a club over there?
I mean, growing up, like when you get picked up in that when you're younger, I had a manager at the time. I had a manager. He's still going strong now. He looks after a lot of boys. But yeah, he's the one that got me over to the Roosters and stuff. But as time goes on, and you're eventually not going to make it and stuff. If you're not going to make your manager any money, then see you later, brother. You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at it now. Like they look after you, guide you, but eventually there's going to be a time that you're not going to sign an in-out contract. Like these are your options. You can come back home and play, or you can just keep playing local footy up over there. But it's up to you. It's like when your contract's finished with a club, your contract with their manager's finished too.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, because let's face realities that if you're not going to make it and make manager any money, you're better off just breaking off with him. You know what I mean? And that's how I was at the time with my manager. He was good, man. He's a really good dude. Like, got much respect for that guy. Still like talk to him till now. He looks after some of my son's friends at Barris. No, yeah. That answered your question, Kim. Like, I went over the last couple of years when I went over to Australia. It was just about word of mouth of who I knew, and got a gig over there. Go there, make some coin. I'll make home. But now I'm retired. Now my joints are no good. My bones are effed up. I just want to I can't play anymore. So the best thing I could do is just give back, and coaching is one of them.
Because I see the players over there, the NRL players, are talking about how after you finish playing, they want to get looked after, right? Like the clubs aren't looking after them, the injuries and that.
Oh, especially in rugby. Like Carl Heyman's the classic example of his early dementia and the amount of concussions that he's had. So that's why it's like, do you reckon that your hunger for the chasing that NRL sort of career was done like after your last Maitland run?
That was all I wanted. That was my dream.
Yeah.
That's all I knew was play league. That was everything. Everything in me, man. That was league. That was all I wanted to do, is play league, and then care about education. Look back now, like I can see why people do all these courses and something to fall back on. You know what I mean? For me, like, get a contract, buy a car, buy a house. Bro, didn't think anything of it until once you start growing up and that's why they were doing all those courses, to something to fall back on, But luckily, all my life experience that I've learned through other people, through footy as well, my mates. Eventually, I knew I wasn't just going to go work at any job. I knew I could get a job, whatever, like not what I wanted, but do something that I wanted to do. Yeah. But yeah, for any kid that's listening to this podcast, make sure you got a plan B, bro. League can only take you so far, and you just never know. You never promise tomorrow, because you might go to training, do injury. Play the week, get injury, whatever, and you might not even be able to play again. Yeah. No, you just never know, and you need something to fall back on. And what I know now, I wish I knew back then.
But that's not to say like the opportunities in rugby league, like in the admin or coaching or other avenues. Like when people retire, you can actually give back to the game that way, make a career out of even going overseas. So I've been other clubs.
Because I've never coached before. Like I'm a type of person like this is massive for me. I don't really like talking in front of people. I'm a real shy person. You know what I mean? Talking in front of my teammates when I was captain, or talking in front of my players to the girls when I'm coaching. I hate talking in front of people, man. But sometimes you just have to do it. And I've never coached before. I just used all my experience and what I knew as a player and tips you learn of other people as your coaches. I just used that and I took that into my coaching now. And I'm far from it. I'm still learning as I go. You know what I mean? Like the best thing for me is I learn from my players as well.
Yeah.
You know, I pick up different tools from different players, whether it's a player from topside or one of the girls on my team, or even coaches. I use it. I know. Even though Wayne Bennett's the goat, he'll be still learning as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like you can never learn enough. You know, you pick up something from somebody, even though that person's been there 20 years and I've been there 2 minutes. I bet you he's still learning different stuff as well. You know what I mean? And the game changes every week, every day.
Yeah.
Everything changes. So I'm just learning. I just learned as I left, and just picking up different things, and that's what I'm coaching now. I just pick it up on the way. You know what I mean?
I gotta give you flowers though, because, bro, like, yeah, you've stepped into a coach's role, but what you've taken with you, like your experience. But I mean, you're using your resources, like getting sponsors, trying to make the girls feel like what it feels like to play club prem football. You know what I mean? Like some people can just go into that space and just not sort of do it justice by like doing it half-ass. But you obviously go in there trying to find a physio, a trainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I try my best to make things professional for these girls.
See, that's
because
cool, man.
then they'll feel like they want it. Like they feel like this is actually not. We're not just turning up to a game. Like, you know, like I've seen it before. Like girls feel undervalued.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about paying the players. It's just like giving them the proper resources. You know, physio, gym. Recovery is very important. Get them to a pool, spa, like those little things. You might not think it's a big thing, but these girls appreciate that kind of stuff. And I do take into account that I know these girls are, some of them are mothers, some of them are wives. It's hard for them just to pick up and leave home to go to training. Whereas us boys, oh babe, I'm going to training, I'll be home, you know, make sure dinner, you know, don't look after dinner, you know. But girls, like they, you know, some of them it's pissing down, and they come to training with their daughter or their son. You know, and I realised that, man, I can't just, if there's going to be a training on a Tuesday, I make sure I let them know like Monday, so they got time to find a babysitter and stuff. Because if you can't just message the boys on a Tuesday and say, oh, training tonight, they'll all turn up, but the girls won't. You got to give them some bit of time. You know what I mean? But I'm saying these girls, if you make them feel valued and give them the resources that they need, then, you know, like, because they've never been a professional. It's never been professional, especially in New Zealand. You know what I mean? But they're starting that now. You know, look at the NRLW, starting to find their feet. They want to be. Some of the players want to be paid the same as the boys. You know what I mean? And, I mean, I'm not involved in that kind of stuff, but I can see where their point of view is coming from.
You know, you're not involved with that kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on the pay, the disparity between the men's and women's? Because they talked about it in rugby union too, and before the World Cup last year when the Black Ferns won, like it was like the best games. There's the semi-final games and the final. Eden Park was packed, and they were saying, "Man, this is a good thing for women's rugby union." You know, they got the fans here, and then but they've been screaming for, like, you know, the same pay as the All Blacks.
I don't know, man. I never. It's good. It's a good question, because I've thought about that when I read about it. That's what the girls are wanting, and that. I mean, it's never happened before. I wouldn't know how it would work. You know, like,
because for me, I would look at the numbers on they go to these games. Like obviously, the women's World Cup last year was packed because it was a final. You know, it was a international games. You know, but I don't think it's going to be packed again. Like if it was a normal games like Auckland versus Wellington. Or
I know the girls never get the same recognition as the boys, but at least like give them something, like I said, to make them feel like they value, like they're worth being a professional athlete. It's not just a men's sport. It's a women can play that too. So they probably feel, these men, they think this is just a men's sport. Hey, we're here knocking on the door. We can play the sport too. How about give us something that makes us, like, pay us for what we're worth? Because we also good. They also can do the same job as what the men do, but in their own category. You know, in the women's. But like I think just on the weekend, some girls whenever from Auckland to New Zealand, they did this RPL or whatever it's called. They had a meeting or something, and I think they're trying to drive it to get for these girls to become professional athletes, you know, and get paid what they're worth. You know what I mean? Not just chump change here and there. This could be this if it is going to become a professional thing for the girls, and this can really set up their family, set up their kids. You know what I mean? Not like the men do for their family. This can set them up as well financially. So
because the WNRL is professional.
Yeah. So I think they're trying to drive that too. You know, the girls are like, hey, we can do this. We should be paid a certain amount of money, whatever it is. So I think they're all trying to drive it. But yeah, I'm not too really involved in that.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to start off with, like, you know, because there are no one actual contracts of like how much someone can start on yet as of yet, right? So it was like, where I would think about it was like if you're qualified, say if you're a qualified builder at like 1 or 2 years experience, you're obviously going to have a starting rate of what you're potentially worth in that first year, which would be like the NRL girls, if you were to think about it. But for every year or every club that they've done a season, then their worth would go up another 10 grand, sort of like that, you know? Because it'd be stupid to try and sign an up-and-coming talent and try and pay them someone who's played it at 5 seasons, 5 seasons deep, sort of thing. So I think if they can start off a base salary of like these like introduction players, and then girls that have played international football, they'll obviously be on a bit more.
It's good to see managers now, because managers always just look after the boys, look after the men. But it's good to see some managers actually have signed off some girls as well. You know, like there's a pathway now, and you got the Tasha Gale, which is under 17s, I think, or under 19s, and then you got a Harvey Norman comp in Australia. That's for the girls that, you know, the open. There's a few Kiwi girls over there playing for different clubs. I think there's a great pathway for the girls to, you know, get into play into the international level, get a contract for the NRLW. Some of those girls that come through the pathways, they play Origin, you know, Queensland and New South Wales, in the women's. So Australia's. I don't want to talk anything bad about New Zealand Rugby League or anything like that's not why I'm here. But I just feel like Australia, there's a couple of plays ahead. But don't get me wrong, New Zealand, they're starting to find different.
But the talent's here,
now.
The talent's here.
Definitely.
Talent's here. It's the natural flair and just the skill set, the natural skill set. But it's the work ethic. They might lack in the self-confidence. Is what you see. Because I think unless someone's actually chasing the dream, and they actually believe that shit, I might actually have a chance. Otherwise, they'll just become club players and just happy and content with just playing football.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like just because if you're in Australia and you're playing and you live and breathe footy, just because you're playing over there, it doesn't necessarily mean that ones over here can't make it. You know, like the girls here, they need to have the same mindset as some of those girls over there. Because, I mean, yes, they got the resources and all that, but the girls over here, they're just as good.
Yeah.
But you're going to make sure if you're going to do it, you do it 100%.
Yeah.
And not just be... Are you happy not just to play club footy and then, you know, and do what you do in the weekend? You know, like, are you going to take this, be a professional? Like, even though you're not in Australia, but you can still do it here. Give yourself the best opportunity and chance to go over there and play.
Yeah.
You know, you might have a season here or two, just building it, and then get over there. Unless that way you're ready.
Because I seen one of the girls from the women's team ended up playing at the World Cup, Mele
Ufunga.
Like, just to see that, bro. Like, fuck, that's like, gives a shame, man. Like, and you told me like how she's come from the rugby background and played league, played Hakula residents, and then made the Kiwis. Like that in itself was like, bro, that's an example of someone who just backs himself can do it, eh?
That's one, like she's one of the most talented players I've ever seen. 1-on-1, I feel like she could be her defender.
I'll put my money. I'll put the week's wages on. She'll score. Like fuck she's
And I'm very very fortunate enough that she came over to Ponsonby because I had her in my Tongan team a couple of years ago, and then some of her and the girls that came over from whatever club they were at, I think Otahu, they came over to Ponsonby. They played, and Mele, man, she's a true leader. She's a great person too off the field. You know, she's got a massive heart. And when she talks, all the girls listen. All the girls buy into what because now she's been there, done that, and she just knows what she knows. She goes about her. She talks the talk too, because look at her actions on the field. You know what I mean? Like she does it, and she's probably one of the best players I've ever coached. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm so happy that she went to the World Cup. You know. Deservingly, because I know she didn't get many opportunities in rugby, and I always thought that, man, league is her sport, but I knew that she kept chasing the rugby dream. But
because you played in the Super Rugby too, eh?
She played for the Blues last year. Yeah.
And like bro, when I seen that, bro, when I saw that the Ponsonby shared it, bro, I was so proud. I was so proud because I've seen her play, you know, and I've seen her like fucking run havoc. You know, if you give her a good line. But you back her, like fuck, she's gonna either fall short of the line or she'll fucking
give her a good ball, mate. She's gone, and then she's probably one of the fastest over 40 meters too, off the mark. She's very quick. She got an opportunity in the World Cup, I think, in the second game, and she ended up playing every game after that.
Yeah,
now, she wasn't probably the first choice centre as she went over there, but she ended up playing every game after the second game, and she found herself playing in the World Cup final. They fell short, but. You know what I mean? Like, she had come a long way from the Mele Hufanga from 2019, I think, when I met her, to 22. You know, like, I just hope, the best is yet to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
The words are oyster, and I think that she just keeps training hard and puts her head down and trains. Some team will pick her up, if they haven't already.
I reckon she moves to 13. She moves to 13, bro, for a passing game. Fuck.
Eventually down the track, maybe.
Yeah,
eventually down the track. Because in the 13's a hard position. You got to make sure you can ball play, defend. You know, that's a hard. But I think she's better out wide at the moment. But maybe she might move back and later down the track, as they do when they get older.
Yeah.
Start at centre, they move into prop or second row. You know what I mean? But for those who are listening, Mele Hufanga is a name to watch out for, man. Very talented person, very talented player.
I'm thinking another factor for trying to bring up the women's game in New Zealand, women's league game is the media coverage. I mean, I know we're at the mercy of Sky TV because that's the only big sports channel we got here in New Zealand, and you know they can't really show every single game.
Yeah.
Like they have to juggle cricket, rugby, and everything else. You know, and I don't know. Maybe there needs to be another. Because I was thinking the other day, because you know we got Spark Sport as well.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Maybe they could jump into that.
Yeah, because like to be honest, not everyone has Sky. Not everyone has Sky Spark Sport. You know what I mean? Like everyone has channel 2 or channel 3.
Yeah.
You know, like I understand what you mean, man. But you know, when the girls do get opportunity and they know they're gonna play on TV, man, they turn it up. Hey, they know. You know what I mean? Not just the park footy down at Walker Park or Victoria.
Because TV does the back half of the Fox, eh? And then they have screened, I think it's the top 4 or the top 8.
Oh man, Modi TV was a real good network before. They used to film all the games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what happened, but man, they were the go-to, you know, especially when I was playing. Modi TV. I say Modi TV.
I said, what's he doing the haka? Wow. Everyone knows, hey, this guy's the king of the Tikatonu haka. It's like, Dion Briggs.
Mate, just a proud Kiwi, mate. I'm a Tongan, but you know, if there's a Māori haka, I'm in there. No, yeah, man, it's been. Yeah,
even with news reporting, like someone just writing about these games, you know, and putting it up there, like anything to get exposure of these games, would be a good help. Even YouTube, but
man, if people, this is the thing. Like, I hate watching All Blacks. I hate watching the men's game. Like, I love watching the women's rugby, like club rugby. But if you get the chance to go down and watch like the women's league, it's something else, man. It really is, eh?
I reckon there's a good chance for rugby league now because last year's World Cup was great. The new tackle law and rugby union that's coming out of the you can't tackle above the waist. I mean, that's gonna do something about the game. That's gonna turn people off.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a good opportunity for rugby league to step up now, eh? Like,
Yeah.
you know, just off the back of the World Cup and the changes in rugby union. You know.
Yeah. Like that girl that played with your daughter, man, she's come a long way too.
Oh, Sylvia.
Yeah, she's a gun there. You know, and I'm buzzing out how these girls, the rugby girls, can pass from one side of the field to the other. You know what I mean? Like go through their hands 3 times, and they like. That's one thing. Like I focus. Like if you can focus on, if you're a coach, like if you, anyone can pick up a ball and run. You know. But if you can focus on little things like catching and passing, those little fundamentals that every player needs. If you focus on stuff like that, then they will help a person out, a 40 player out. You know what I mean? Catching, passing, tackle technique, all those little things that can help a person improve as a 40 player. Because I see the way the Sevens, watching the Sevens, the Australian Sevens competition, I think it was last week, and I watched our girls play. Man, I just can't believe like they're so good. Passing the ball wide, and you know, like I was like, oh man, these girls are really good.
Yeah, just creating the new hole to run and sort of thing.
Yeah.
Too, like dragging across like a late cut, or like even just
That's
running
what I mean.
good lines.
The way they throw their body on the line and the speed, I'm like, man, you can't teach
the
this
speed
or
you
that.
can't teach. Eh?
Wow, speed you can't teach. Man, these girls are out of it. But no.
You know when you guys lost to Manurewa 90-something nil, like that's your first game as a coach, eh?
That was my first game.
Woman. You know, they say like, oh, first game, if you lose like that, there's nowhere to go but up, you know? So in your coaching point of view, how do you come back from that kind of thing to motivate the girls again? Just to make them understand, oh, no, this is the first game. I know we lost by this much, but like as a coach, like how do you come back from that?
It's funny you asked me that because someone asked me that too. It's like, oh, what possibly could your halftime speech be? If I was an NRL coach and I lost 96-0, I'm already sacked. You know what I mean? But lucky this is just club local. But you know what? Going up because Manarewa was the champions.
Yeah.
They give them to us first round.
Didn't Honey play? Was Honey playing me?
The commentator, I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they were stacked.
But they're a stacked team. You know, and man, it's literally, man, we will kick the ball off. They score, kick off, score. And I'm just like, man, I think it was halftime, maybe like 40-something nil or 15 nil. I was like, what possibly can I say to motivate my team? Because you can't say it's okay, girls. They're probably thinking, fuck, what are you watching? They're probably, what are you watching? But you know what? They just keep turning up. Like eventually, like we will turn up again Wednesday. Because the women's, I train Wednesday, Fridays because the games are on Sundays. They turn up. They'll turn up Wednesday, Friday. They'll just keep turning up to learn, to better themselves. You know, I knew our first win. It wasn't far, but we have to work hard for it. You know what I mean? So we got 96-0. I think the next game we got wasted, and then they dropped us into like a. So back then it was a premiership and a championship, I think, or the pennant. Back then it was called the pennant. So the second division, top 4, top 6, go form up the premiership, and then we filmed a pennant. I think it was like us, all lower teams like Mount Wellington and all that. We ended up winning it. You know, we won it that year. You know, so that was a positive for us to go into 2019. You know, we won the pennant. We didn't win the championship, but we won the pennant. That was our very first year. The Ponsonby ever had a team since 1992 or 93 or whatever it is. We ended up winning it that year, so we went into 2019, and that's when I met like I think Mele Hufanga and them. You know, that year. Then they ended up coming in 2020 actually, but 2019 we went. instead of us staying a pennant, I just thought to myself, man, for the girls to play the best in Auckland, like to be the best, you got to play the best, okay? So that's how it works. So if you guys are okay just to go and play in the second div, if that's what you want, then all good. But for me, you should just prove to these girls, you've played them last year, you know what their comp's all about now. Let's put in a good pre-season and give it a good go. Or, stay in premiership, or we can just settle for less and just stay in pennant. They didn't give me an answer, so I said, you know what, I'm putting us back in premiership. Because for me, that's the only way the girls are going to learn.
Yeah.
You know, if they play, they get good, like, oh man, that girl's really good, or you know, you just don't know with these new girls because they can learn something off opposition players as well. Yeah, I mean, we went into that season, we improved. You know, we would have, like, we played Manorewa, we maybe just lost to them, or we scored some points on them. Just like we eventually started doing a bit better than the year before. And then 2020 is then when it was probably our best year, man. We finished first equal. But because COVID hit, they cancelled the thing. But we finished first equal with Manorewa. I was like, fuck, we've come a long way since 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So now, you know, because I think Ladies Barbers was sponsoring me at the time. His daughter was part of that squad. Man, we just we felt, I just think, man, COVID hit and they cancelled the whole season. But that was probably our best chance to actually lift that trophy. You know what I mean? I had a really gun team that year, but you know, sadly COVID hit, and then 2021, yeah, we fell short. We lost to Ponsonby in the semi-final. They end up winning it the week after, and then last year, 2022, we lost the semi-final again as well. So I've never played in the grand final, but so close, so close.
This season.
Oh, hopefully, I mean, I don't know what's happening this year. No, I've got the men's this year, the Ponsonby men's. We've already started pre-season. We're about 4 weeks into it. We had a little run before Christmas last year, and I've got my girls. I'll be still a part of it. You know, I was like Zane Pocklington and stuff like that. You know, I know he's got a good footy brain on him. I've asked him to come down and just, you know, run a few sessions and stuff because he's a very good coach, Zane. I mean, he was my coach at Point Chef when I played a few reserve boys, and I learned a lot from him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's meant to be on next week.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good. Yeah, he's done really well. He's one person that's there's a footy player trans over to a coach. He's done really well. You know, and I'll be looking forward to hear his podcast too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm saying that, you know, he's one person I've asked to come in. I've reached out to come in and just run a few sessions with the girls because I know they'll buy into what he'll say too.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's good, like, the brotherhood has done that for all of us, eh? Like, we can reach out. Like, even when you said, oh, docs, man, sponsor us, you know, it's like, oh, what are you doing first? And then we said, oh, it's my women's team. Oh, are you a coach? My little thing, you know? So it's like, oh, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed coming down to watch the girls, eh? Like, it's like, man, it goes to show, like, man, they've come a long way, eh? Come a long way.
And, you know, obviously, you know, you got senior players in that team, like Seska, been around for a long time. She's got a good footy brain on her too. Whether or not she's playing again this year, but I'd like to be involved in some sort of capacity because you know, she's another one when she talks, the girls listen, and she's, you know, been there, done that. She's played for Toa Samoa, played a lot of Auckland teams and stuff. So and she was our captain the last couple of seasons too.
And they won the nationals, eh?
Yeah, they won the national, yeah, for Vulcans. So yeah, we'll see how it goes on Wednesday. We've got our first training with the girls on Wednesday, and then we'll have a look and see what our numbers look like and see if our season's gonna go ahead.
Have you been involved with Tongan Rugby League?
Yeah,
and women's.
Yeah, I was I coached in 2020. What's 2023? 21. We played against Niue. It was televised, and we won that. I was the coach. I was the head coach of that game, and we put on a pretty good performance against Niue. Man, it was a great camp, very well organised, and then we got that win, and then I knew that this is a chance for us to try and get to the World Cup. But unfortunately, we didn't qualify for the World Cup. So the qualifier was probably the year after when COVID hit, and by then it was too late for the girls to qualify for last year's World Cup. So now we're in the run for the next World Cup, which is in 25, I think, 25. So at least the girls got an opportunity. It'd be good to see the Samoans, the Fijians, Tonga, because you got Cook Islands there already. You know what I mean? And I just feel like there's so many good other three nations. There's some good players out there. They can put on performances against Brazil and all them at the World Cup too. Now you got Canada, Brazil, and all that there. And I think these girls, our girls, can give them a good go. You know, why can't we be there? But you know, we played. I think it was last Queen's birthday weekend last year. We played against the Kiwis. Tonga played against the Kiwis, the men's, and we were the curtain raiser. And I was part of that. I was part of that campaign.
Is it who coached that? Was it Jim Dimmock?
Jim Dimmock and his brother. Yeah. Jim Dimmock and his brother Milton. They brought a few girls over. We had a couple of local girls from here. Put together a squad, spent a week with each other at camp. I can see what the pride and joy, the look on their faces when they put on that red jersey. Even though the result didn't go our way, but you know the memories will be cherished forever for some of those girls, because they're harder Aussies, bro. They don't know the
culture.
The culture, you know, like there's just when you go in, when you brought up in Australian and you brought up in an Aussie household or Kiwi household, and you don't talk the language, but then when you go into that week at camp, it changes everything. You know what I mean? Like I know, for example, the Māoris playing Indigenous this weekend. Some of those Māoris Indigenous don't know their culture, don't know their background, but once they go into it, they'll strip it right back and then talk about, like, you know, their whakapapa, their iwi and all that. It was the same with us with the girls. The girls didn't even know how to do a himi. They didn't know how to do a loto. You know what I mean? They didn't know how to do the mili and a song. And for them to walk out of that camp, some of them learned a lot that whole week, you know what I mean? And even the coaches, you know, they would have learned a lot too. Week, you know, not only about the culture, but about every person in that camp. And it was choice, man. I mean, we played the Kiwis, we got a hiding, but when we scored I think we were the last team to score a try. We scored one try there, man. The crowd went up. It was like we won. We won. We're getting pumped, man. We're getting pumped, and then being scored on, and then one of our six puts a kick up in our centre, catches it and runs 40 metres and scores. And you see the crowd, look at everyone on the sideline, everyone jumping up and cuddling each other like we won. So that was, I remember that feeling, man. Like little things like that, you know. So hopefully we can build on that campaign for years to come.
I was real proud of like sharing that post on the KB page, because that week you played Niue. It was like, man, we had KB coaches, both head coaches there. It was you and Dan. Dan had the Niue ends, and then we had Steve with the Kiwis. So it was like, man, it's a proud day to be an old boy with all our old boys ties to all those women's teams. But like you're talking about going into camp, you played the New Zealand Tonga Hakula residents at one point. Did you play like a one-off game, or was it a invitation team? You played with Leroy.
With who?
When you and Leroy played in the Tongan.
Oh yes, there's a player. Yeah, that was down in Hamilton.
What was that? Was that like a Power Wars or?
No. Power Wars.
Because I thought it was going to get televised. Like, you know, it's like I was just only keeping up to date with your fellas' posts and stuff.
Yeah, if it was Power Wars, you take your own socks and your own shorts. Bring your own water bottles and stuff. Man, I don't know. It was just a Tonga business. I think Tonga was playing. Who were they playing? I think this was the day that Kiwis beat Tonga. Tonga beat the Kiwis for the first time in the 2017 World Cup.
So it was the curtain raiser.
Yeah, curtain raiser, but we ended up playing on the field outside.
Oh, sorry, right.
My mum was alive at the time. Everyone come down from Auckland thinking they're going to the stadium. Oh, man. Now you guys on the field too.
Oh, wow. So it was the same day.
Same day, but we with a curtain raiser.
Son of a bitches.
Yeah, some of it. I mean, it's a good day for Tonga, but for us, we thought we were playing inside the stadium.
Did you know that?
I don't know, but the ground we played on, we had to like put Vaseline all over our legs. I mean, jump in the shower, it's fucking stinky, man. It's like the grass was terrible. There looked like no pads on the goalpost. It was probably Mickey Mouse, mate.
But was that team just made up of New Zealand?
Just boys from here.
From the Nationals, or was it mostly the Auckland club?
Some boys from like different Fox clubs, but I because there was a massive there was a lot of Tongan boys that were at Ponsonby that year that we made to semi, and that I took about 6 or 7 of us from there, and just different teams with different clubs. Like I had Havili that plays for Rabbitohs, the hooker.
Yeah.
His little brother was in our team. There's some good players. Yeah, some good players in that team. But yeah, we were just freshies from Tonga, bro.
Yeah.
These freshies they were hard. They were like, I've seen it, man. Like they're rock hard. These guys, they just don't care, bro. You can tell them when you shake their hand, they're just normal shaking, but they're screaming. You know what I mean? Like these boys, man, they're very tough. And I saw that in the weekend. Just Saturday, just gone. My son and his boys, I put together a Ponsonby under 18 team. My son and all his mates are all 16 years old, you know. And we thought we were playing like 17, 18-year-old boys. But these guys from Tonga, they were here on tour, but they didn't have anyone to play. So I said, someone rings me because there was a nines tournament that was supposed to happen this weekend, ARL one.
That's the club one.
But it got cancelled due to the state of emergency.
Oh, so were they here to play in that?
No, they were just here to play. I don't know who they're here to play, but there's someone from that organisation rang me. Oh, Siwa, Sosh, Kailahi.
Oh, okay.
He rings me, Tako, keen to put a team in, get a team together. Form a team will play the Tongan under-19s. I go,
Oh, shit. But this is big from the homeland, eh?
they're from homeland, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd actually under 18, but I didn't know the under 19s till we got to the game.
So you told them this is the under 15 stocks. You told all the boys they're under 15.
Big boys. So I rang Siwa and I go, give me 10 minutes, bro. Let me get home. I'm driving. I'll get home. I'll get on the phone, get my son and all his mates, see if they can. I got home and I did all the ringing up and I rang Siwa back up and I go, Dogo, that's us. I'll see you there tomorrow. We're in Manukau Rugby Rovers.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet, meet you there. Man, I put together a pretty good team. We got there. I did a short notice. We wore our Ponsonby gears. And then we had a run. And, man, these boys were like, they're hard. Like, my son came after the game and he was like, Dad, brother, I can feel the contact. My body's sore, man. Like, these boys are 19 years old. You know, you can tell that they just they work in the plantation. Yeah. They just, you know, you get in the ball, they just run, bro, and I can feel the contact. It was like
brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. Like it's like, ouch. Look, I'm not playing. But yeah, we just lost by 4 points. But you know, the boys, I said to the boys, hey, just because of the age group, but at least you know you can hold your own. You know, you did really well with these guys. You know, these guys have been together for a few weeks. We just put together a team today, and we just lost, but. You know, these boys are not here just for holiday. Yeah. They're here to play, you know. Yeah.
And a lot of kids that age need to feel that, eh?
Oh, exactly.
Like, because they might not feel it at their grade, because they might clean up their grade. And they'll just go on, and they sort of almost play in touch as they're coming along, because they've got a lot of talent in their team. But when you get a wake-up call like that, playing like young guys that are like pretty much men.
Oh man, no tackle tech, just diving at legs, diving at arms. And I'm like, ref, blow your whistle, bro. Blow your whistle. These boys are 16. But the ref just let it go. Like, this is Mickey Mouse. This is not even organised properly. Give us a proper ref. But nah, it was good, man. The boys loved it. I think, it was good. But I don't know what's next. We'll see what happens this weekend. Wednesday, see what happens with get the master for the girls. Hopefully because this will be 18, 19, 22, 22. Be 6 years they've had the girls now.
Will you take the coaching role again, or are you gonna?
I'm not sure. 100% not sure. There's a lot of time and effort that you have to be a coach. You know, it's not just a Wednesday and a Friday and a Sunday. It's everything that you put, like, planning home away from the kids, the wife. So it's a lot of that, time. And if you're gonna do it, you gotta make sure you do it 100%, because sometimes you put in your 100%, and then like it's not met from the players. Like you turning up to training on a Wednesday, you've sacrificed a lot for your family. I mean, that's what comes with the job. If you're gonna take the job, then you have to.
Yeah.
But then you get there and there's only like 5 or 6 players. They don't want to come because it's raining or whatever it is. Like, I just want to make sure, like, if you're committed, then make sure you're committed. You're in 100%. You know what I mean? And I do take into account that their mothers, they need babysitters and so forth. But communication is a massive factor for me.
Yeah.
If you can pick up a phone or text me and say, "Hey, Coach, I'm not going to be here tonight. Blah 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 blah." That's cool. That goes a long way for me. But if you just do a no-show, I'm not a mind reader. How am I supposed to know? You know what I mean? Yeah, and I hate that, man. So, like, that's something that's a downfall of girls. If you can build a good culture at a club, and these girls can buy into that culture, then I think you got a solid team.
When you're managing your time, like you're juggling between your family and being a coach.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that happens to a lot of coaches. That kind of thing. Is there anything that they look up to, like any like blueprint of how it works, or is it just?
It's just off the cuff sometimes.
Just off the cuff, and just talk to your partner.
You can make sure you always look after home first. Don't go taking up roles that you haven't spoken to your missus. Haven't run past the boss. We're going in Tuesday. You go straight Wednesday. Oh, did you know I got the men's job? But it's very important, bro, to look after home. Let them know. Make sure they're on board with your decisions that you're making. Because I know how it is. Because like this year, that's what I'm trying to juggle what I'm gonna do. Because I'm in a position where training for the men's is Tuesday, Thursday, and the women's is Monday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Friday. So I don't know what to do. And now they've just moved the women's 40 games to Saturdays now.
Oh, shit.
So that clashes with where's before. The girls will play rugby on Saturdays and Sundays play league. But now,
so that's why you're waiting to see who shows up on Wednesday.
Yeah, to see because I can't be at 2 places at once if they both at the same time. They both will be at 2:30, on the Saturday. So that's a massive factor for me now. That changes the whole ball game now.
Yeah.
They just changed it a couple of weeks ago. I was like, so we don't know if we'll lose but in a way it's good to make these rugby girls decide what they want to do. Like, for example, Mele Hufunga played rugby on a Saturday, league on a Sunday, and look now, she went to a World Cup. So what is she going to do now?
Yeah.
Make her choose. Like,
Chase that Super Rugby jersey or
that black jersey or wherever, how far she can go in league. And I think she's come a long way. I did read something that she's found her passion is for league. So in a way, it's good to make them choose too. But we won't know till this week, I suppose.
Might have to give Safotu a call, eh? He's expert at managing time and all that.
With the added pressure. So, what do you like? Were there any aspirations to try and coach the boys? Like, because now your boys are playing football. Like, is there any like sort of idea that maybe you might not coach women or the Prems and just coach the boys?
Yeah, I'd love to coach my kids.
Yeah.
I love to the time, and I'm giving all these other people my time. I want to give my time to my own children. Start watching the younger ones play. Coaching my son who's 17 this year. I got 2 boys that are 17 this year. My son and my stepboy. They both played in the weekend just gone, and I love to give my time into them and watch them play or coach them in some sort of capacity. But I just don't know. I won't know. Like, I just need. So I want to get good people on board to help me out. Like, if they're keen to take a team, because at the moment I've got the men's, the women's, and then might have an under teens team. Try to get my son and his boys, keep them together like from the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's just time management is very important. I'm not trying to say I'm trying to be the He-Man, but I'm trying my best to hold it down for the club as well. I just want to see if anyone else will jump on board and give us a hand.
Yeah.
You know, like the girls, they're good. Like they've been around for a while. They've played with each other for a couple number of seasons now. And maybe it'd be good for them to hear a different voice.
Yeah.
You know, and see if someone else would like to be a part of the squad, and I'll still be involved, but it'd be good to try to focus. I like to focus my time on my boys as well.
Yeah.
Because I want them to know, like, don't want them to grow up, oh, Dad gave their time to the women's and the men's, but didn't come and coach me, or didn't, you know?
Yeah.
Don't want to be that, don't want to be that Dad. You know?
Nah, the reason why I asked because I've seen how Jason's doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to keep their group together and then to see what's come out of that group and be like, fuck, now he's moved over to us.
No,
It's
and
like,
then,
bro,
he,
that's cool.
yeah, and he gave me his blessings, and I was speaking to him the other day, and he's like, brother, if you want to keep the boys together, keep them together, you know? Like, he said he won the grand final. There was his chapter closed with them. You know, he won the grand final with them. He's happy for them to move on. If it means to stick together at a different club, then so be it. I sent him the pictures just in the weekend.
Yeah.
Of them playing for Ponsonby, and he was pretty happy.
Yeah.
I got his blessings and stuff. And I mean, I just thought that it's the principle, and to let him know, hey brother, because I respect that guy. He's done so much for those boys.
Yeah. Well, because I heard there was no Maris this year. Was that right? Is that true?
Yeah, maybe. That's not. Yeah, probably. But that's why they.
Because of the development and was it where they gonna be housed?
I just think that after 16s comp, they had nowhere to go, because this age group, you got to remember, they got first 15 as well. They play first 15, so it's hard to keep that age group 16, 17, 18 to play league, because the pinnacle is school rugby, you know, and that age group.
It's hard to compete, eh?
It's hard to compete, man. Yeah, and I'll never say to someone, boy, hey, don't worry. They tell them to don't play rugby, but to play league. I always let them choose. But for Jason to give me his blessing to, if they can start a team, then take them, bro. And I go, oh yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It's funny you say let the kids choose, because some of these top rugby schools, they don't let them choose.
Yeah.
You're not playing rugby league, you're playing for us. You're playing first 15.
No, you're right, bro. Like the St. Kitts and Grandmas and even Kelston Rugby is doing really well at the moment, you know.
But they, you know, the way that the school's been doing it now is like, see, they've locked in a lot of those league boys to come play rugby. And that's with the blessing from the guys at the Warriors to lock them in. Because they reckon that, like when Dave Fusatua made it, he came straight out of first 15 rugby. But that transition was always going to be easy for him because he had a league background. Stuff like that. Even Nafahu White played first 15 straight into the Warriors camp. Into the Roosters.
What school did he go to?
He's straight out of Custom.
Oh, he Custom too?
So they say that the training is pretty much as close that you can get to something else. But I mean, to go from us first 15 level 1A to around, it's like, sharp, this it's a huge step. But I mean, shows, you know.
Because you played league before, so what do you reckon your transition from rugby to league is easier than league to rugby?
From league to rugby.
You reckon it's easier for boys to...
Yeah, to play league and then play rugby.
You reckon
But
it's easier?
the other way around is
Hard.
Yeah, it's hard. There's too many rules.
Interesting.
There's way too many rules.
Interesting, because
League to rugby.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, unless but then again, it's on the individual, man. Like, how much of the rules do you want to soak in? Because you see it there, like in, like I hate to use SPW, but like just his tackle tech when he came from league, it was like way off, eh? Way off, man. It was like the saying is, once you're reaching for a tackle, you're already dusted. You know, the best thing is to be closer in contact. That way, it's a full-on rugby tackle.
I always thought that too. From going from rugby, then playing league, it's a much easier transition from going from league to rugby.
It's just fitness, eh? Fitness is
but even the
skill set, yeah.
Because like, I think back in the day, like at first 15, like the guys, even like when Mosetu Eliti, all those guys played league. And back then, with Siwan that were playing at Glenora, it was like Glenora and Te Ratu. Those were the two custom predominant teams in the comp. Handful of guys went to Marist. But the first and the seconds, the bulk of those players were pretty much from Te Ratu or Glenora. And they played second, so they played rugby in the morning, then they played 18s like in the afternoon. So a core of those guys like were from league backgrounds. Like Sam Tweety plays from a league background. Nick Buckley, Mosse, even Wax played league. So,
See, it's cool. Like with rugby, it's just if you're sick of 15, you play like 9 o'clock or something.
yeah,
That way, if you get caught up, you can play at 2:30 for the top for first 15. See, not. I mean, I know these boys are playing first 15 rugby, but if there was a chance for the under 18, because of their age group, they all play first 15 rugby. Having that game at 1 o'clock, it won't work. You know what I mean? Because they can't play one half and then rush off to the top. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
If you can either play them in the morning or maybe give their age group a chance to play either Sunday or Friday night. You know what I mean? Just so they can play both. I mean, that's just me looking from outside, and because I know that the older you get, the more later the playing timing, the later you play becomes like if the older you get, you play at 1 o'clock or 2:30. Now some of these boys, if they're playing 2:30, 2:35 or whatever it is for rugby, and you're expecting them to play at 1 o'clock, it'll clash. It won't work. You know what I mean?
Unless you're playing SG boy or like topside for like a club and you're still at school, the thing that locks in the league boys is because of the aftermatch. So you get your blazer, you get your kit, and then you get the aftermatch. Like there's always a mate A afterwards. Like if you play the 1A comp, I know it's a 1A thing. Like if we go play Mount Albert, you know, you're like, I mean, they're gonna have to put on a big feed. Like, you know, like Castle's known for their feed. I mean, Onehanga was known for their feeds, and especially like Marcel, you know. You roll up to there after the match and be like, oh, it's like a wedding feed, you know. That's why guys they play league and when they play rugby, you're like, fuck that, nah, bro. Straight off the club, it's like, who's gonna buy the first round? And I was like, oh, just a packet of chips and a jug of fizzy drink. That's the bias
Don't
for
look
the
my drink.
on the jug.
It seems like a good incentive for New Zealand. For me, New Zealand Rugby League, they just need players, right? From your juniors up, it will be a good incentive for them to change the times so they get more. So you know when you play first 15 and you go run, and you play league for your club, then you can play first 15 in the afternoon. Like, isn't that a good?
That used to be like that back for you guys, eh? Back at school.
Yeah, but it was only up to 15s. So, like, once I tried to play under 16s and play seconds, it was a bit hard. Because sometimes your game would be like an 11 o'clock game, and then they'd finish at 12:15. But then, you're not going to make the next game. Or if you had like a 9 o'clock game, rugby, and it carries over to 11, but you're late, for you just play the second half.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if kids have a chance to
Enough
play
time
both,
to play one.
to play, and enough time to skip, to play one game and play the other game. Like, at least they'll get game time. At least they'll have an idea to choose what they want to do.
It was easier for me if we had a 1 o'clock game because I played second five. I didn't touch the ball. I fucking made fuck all tackles playing league, playing rugby. Like I do a couple of runs and I still had enough in the tank to go play a full game. But like if you're like a front rower doing every scrum, every line out, and you go play league in the afternoon, but you don't want to start. Be too little, you know.
That's hard for like especially all these boys that play first 15 rugby because some of the SG Board Warriors boys that just played in the weekend, I think some of them came from rugby backgrounds as well. Like the fullback from Kelston, the Fijian boy, I think he's pretty good. Like he played rugby last year, but like even like Tito Harris would have been in the Warriors if he didn't take the Sevens contract. But like these boys play first 15 rugby, but then like they've got to choose whether they're going to play league or rugby.
Yeah. It's sort of wrong to cap what they can do because you look at the transition. Like SPW proved that it can be done in the modern era, right? Before that, there was Brad Thorne and that. But like, it's just sad to see like that at schoolboy level.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no actual freaking fine print contract that says you can't go play. It's just that the coaches in the school are making them like putting them in a hard place. Like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there was like a nationals tournament, they shouldn't even do that. Like to them, it's like let them go play, man. If it means that there's a career path for them after that tournament, then they should let them do it.
Yeah, it's a hard one, bro, for the young kids coming through, having to pick. You know what I mean? They got. Hopefully, they can sort something out in a way for them to have best of both worlds. Because these kids won't know what they're good at either rugby or league until they give it both of the opportunity. You know what I mean? Both of them a good go. I can see it happening. See it happening already. Them making them choose. Some schools don't even like their boys playing league. Yeah.
I know like Custon was a couple of years ago. They had that Zion Ma'u, and he's on the Warriors, and then I think in the club nationals versus the schoolboys, and then they cleaned them up. They dusted them up big time. But then he played for 15, and it was sort of like the conversation of the hardest comp is the 1A. Play this, and you know now that Athens is the Warriors, they're like, yeah, they didn't play because they've told a good example of what can be done. You know, even though they're playing 15 rugby. But I don't know. I suppose you don't want all your options sort of just
Be limited.
yeah limited.
You know, going back to the women's game, like, you know, with internationals, like, I think they're still trying to work it out with the men's. I mean, they got their origin, but it looks like NRL their origin is the priority when it comes to mid-year games. There's no more Anzac tests anymore. It looks like.
I really should introduce it again. But that was good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the World Cup, the way it finished like that, I think they need to do it.
They need more Kiwi and Australia games, I reckon.
But even like the Tonga, like Pacific Cup, they need to introduce that, I reckon. Even if it was like a Four Nations, PNG, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa. I think they all need to get on board.
Yeah, but like some sort of like mid-year like a game. I mean, they did before during test. They always play Fiji will play Papua New Guinea, and then Samoa will play Tonga. You know, like, but none of these other. See, look, Samoa played in the World Cup. They played in the World Cup last year. Like, they're up there now. Like, they're soon to be a tier 1 nation. You know what I mean? So some of those boys now got to choose origin or Samoa. Because I didn't think if you can't play for Australia, if you play for Samoa, which is a tier 2 nation, you're eligible to play for New South Wales and Queensland.
Yeah, but once you become tier 1,
yeah, you can't say.
Yeah. You can't. But they've I think they're going to be tier 2 for the next 10 years. I think they put that out after the World Cup.
Yeah, that's because Mama Ningan, he doesn't have the dispense of these Blues players. But yeah, I think because the New South Wales Gangi, because all the Samoas from that team.
That's so proud of Samoa. Like, you just tell the fans, you know, and rest in peace to some of those people that passed away during their time with the celebrations and stuff. And I read about it in South Auckland, but man, just the pride and passion that the people have for their little nation, bro, it spoke volumes. You know, I rode that day, so you know, we did a ride from, you know, where the boys met up on their bikes, and we rode from Auckland to Maine over the Harbour Bridge. We stopped at Westgate. I'm not even Samoan, but all the boys like, "What are you doing here, D? What are you doing here?" And I go, "Bro, my kids are Samoan, you know. I'm representing them, you know. My kids are Samoan." And I'm riding on the bike with the boys that had the Samoan flag on, like. Everyone's just like, saw some boys from Kelston. This guy, you're talking. What are you doing here? Okay. I'm representing my two boys, my Samoan boys, you know. And then we rode from Westgate to Pars Park, and man, I just can see what the passion is for, like how much the Samoans really love their little nation, like what they're going through at the minute, they're creating history as well. But then from Pars Park to Mangere, I wanted to make that one, but I didn't go to effect. But yeah, man, congratulations to all the Samoans out there.
No, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen that, like, that kind of support for any team we've had in the past. That was something. That was experience.
Did you go to the parade?
Yeah, bro. I'm proud. I'm proud of the old boys. They put their hands up and we're in the thick of it, man. Like for James and that to get that shit rolling, and G Brook and that to get on board and be entertainment, bro. That's how you get shit done, man. Because bro, like you know the West, bro. Like I saw like so many old couples like well into their retirement there. You know, it was like that's how safe it was. The parade at West was solid. Like no trouble.
Yeah, that's it. Wasn't it? Everyone's just happy and proud and just dancing along, you know, dancing the night away, playing the music.
Man, shout out to the Siren Kings. They came through the parade. They had the sound system louder than the performing sound system, you know? That was probably the highlight of the whole parade. Like, sorry, man. Took the time, Charlie.
Even when they lost that very morning, man,
Henderson
Big Green was
was packed.
packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Henderson, like, that was on. And I thought, like, I'm a proud Tongan, but I thought they were. I know we get some good crowds, but I think that Otahu was only Otahu that was packed. But
Yeah.
man, you guys had everywhere.
I'm angry. What's crack up is it come the Monday and the Tuesday, bro, still people come in like, how come you're late again? Fucking that Wallace closed, man. What are people fucking still partying?
Some people skipping church to go to
Yeah,
those
man. Well,
parades.
there you go.
Yeah, they were 5 hours.
You know that time when Andrew Fafita joined MMT and then Tom Lolo as well, like that first year, and Tonga beat the Kiwis. That was that time you were playing down there, man. Because I was at that game. I was at the game in Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
And to see that parade or to see the sea of red in that stadium, like everywhere,
Yeah.
like the flags everywhere. And when they won and then trying to leave the stadium and stuck in traffic because they're parading on the street, and all the flags and the. I remember thinking, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this. Someone will never do this." At that time,
Yeah, same. Man. I think you don't realize how many Samoans and how many Tongans we have in New Zealand or Auckland or around the world until we do something really good. They come out of the woodworks and they represent it. Like we had like the Samoans and Tongans in America. Like there's heaps there too. Different countries. I saw some in Germany, or Switzerland. Like there's a few Tongans over there too. You know what I mean? But like when you look around and you see the Samoans, the parades and the Tongans when the Tongans were doing well, the last World Cup. Now we've got so many islanders here.
I think just even realizing like how many Samoans live out west, for James and that to jump on that and be like, oh, why he's going out there for? He's have everyone out here, bro. If Park's like a place to have it. It's like sure, yeah, man. There's like so many Samoans out west, man.
Yeah, so many. We even had the big screen too.
Yeah,
down there,
but even like the traffic jam from Calston all the way to Park was like. Well, that's not going anywhere. It was like, well, what are these guys doing? It's like, it's the parade, man. With the Chinese and the Indians goes, why are you on the road for? I was like, come on.
And you know what? Like, you're talking low, eh? So my son. So last week I was part of the under 16 Tongan team. Then that's when the flooding was happening. But we played Friday, Saturday, and then we played Thursday, Friday. Was it Thursday, Friday? Yeah. And then on Saturday, the floods were just...
Oh, they washed off
washed off everything, and that's when they called everything off. Anyway, we played Tokelau on the Friday. Man, there's a few Tokelauans in New Zealand there.
But it's heaps, bro. I think there's like more than 15,000, probably 18,000.
Proud of like them to enter a team. Some big boys, man.
The rich history of the Tokes Rugby League, especially in Auckland, it's like always been Richmond. Like I think we're 51 years. We're 51 years this year established at Richmond. But that Tokes team like goes back because I remember my brother, he played in the Pacific Cup '92 that was here, and we beat Fiji in the nines. So like if you didn't make the premiership, then he played. There was a nines tournament, and it was just tries, no kicks. But like one of the cousins played that on Facebook. Like he's like, oh, here's a flashback from back in the day, and it was at Carlo Park. And like, bro, I think there was like Pongia, Lomax, they were playing with the Kiwis then. But the final was between Tonga and Samoa. And then went to extra time. Tony Tuimavave, Tony Tatupu played in that game. But like, yeah, I think they had Pacific Cups right up to 96. And it would have been in, I think it was in Fiji. But yeah, but the Turks have always been league players. Like, rugby players are foreign. Like, there's probably a handful of rugby players that have played that are of Turk descent, but otherwise, bro, the league game, the game's league. Like in the islands, they have like state of origin, inter-island comps. It's just full on.
Who would be like a role player that's played that took alone?
One of the cousins' nephews. He's at Tony. He's probably the only dude. I think he's at the Bulldogs.
Renoff.
Yeah, Renoff.
That's when he's at Wakefield playing Super League now.
So he was probably the last. But even Oh, it'd be a part two, Papali'i. So his nana, because his Toke side.
Oh, that's pretty cool, bro. You speak 2 languages.
Actually 4, but yeah.
Oh, 4?
2 will do for me.
Oh, 3. Then what's the 4th one?
Indian.
Shucks. Nah, man. Thanks, boys. This has been mean.
Yeah, man. So this week there's training thing.
Yeah, so we've got the men's tomorrow. Thursday, I've moved it from Tuesday to Thursday, and the girls will have their first get together on Wednesday, and then we'll see from there what our season looks like, or if it's going to go ahead. Not go ahead, but like if our team's going to enter the comp.
Yeah.
I'd love for the girls to stick together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Are you going to be coaching the Tongan women's team this year as well?
I don't know what's in plan. I don't know what's what Hakola has got in place for what the calendar looks like for the women's moving forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because the calendar, because the men's the calendar they're trying to work. I think they're still trying to work that out, But for the women's, what does even that look like?
Yeah, I really don't know. Like, unless they have meetings or there's a guy, a chairman there that whatever they agree with. Like it was just funny just last week when I was coaching when I was a trainer for the 16, the boys, and I saw the New Zealand Māori CEO there. You know, and he calls me up. He goes, "Briggsy, come over." And I went and gave him a hongi and said hello to him. He goes, "What do you reckon? We'll have our New Zealand Māori's residents, women's versus Tongan Hakola residents, women's." I go, "You sure?" He goes, "Yeah, mate, why not?" I go, "Shake on it." Because my word's my bond. And he shook my hand and he said, "We'll do it for the end of the year." And I said, "Sweet."
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So I think he wants to do a New Zealand Māori residents men. I think just the local players and for the Tongan boys that play in New Zealand residents for the boys, and we'll do the girls as well. So
why not a mini Pacific Cup, but not call it Pacific, like a New Zealand Pacific residents? Because you get the new ends on board. If the cook's already there, surely there'll be a whole lot of Cook Island talent that want to have a go. They probably play local Auckland Rugby League. But that's solid, bro. Yeah, before the end of the year, though.
End of the year. So I mean, it's good with something to look forward to. But that was said in January. Things can change by November. You know what I mean? Or October, whenever he wants to have it. So we'll see what happens. It'll be good. I reckon it'll be good for both teams. Like you said, Niue, Cook Islands, Fiji, because they have a little mini like Pacific Cup or something like that. You know what I mean?
Even if it's a nines sides, man.
Man, Fijians are good at nines, bro.
Yeah, I do.
Fuck, so good.
But even the fact that the nines club tournaments washed out, like I know Waramera fucking always did their 18s and like give a couple of fit preseason senior players go play in that tournament. But like, it's always about getting one up over the locals, like the neighbouring clubs, Teratu and New Zealand. Yeah.
But
Sweet, man.
sweet.
Oh, before we wrap up, who's your Inarati?
I've always been the Roosters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't change. I mean, I supported the Raiders only when the Bro was playing, but I'm Roosters hard. And my son still supports the Canberra Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
I can see your Seagulls.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, beautiful place. Are you still Parramatta?
Shucks, man, you didn't even ask first, bro.
That's all right. I was like, man, unlucky by the finals. That was a good game.
Said it to Manu Mauda.
Oh,
You
man.
can't buy loyalty like Manu's, bro.
Yeah,
There we
bro.
go.
Parramatta got some good signings this year. They've also lost Papali'i to the Tigers.
Oh, Tigers recruited well this year.
Oh, your team's pretty stacked there, especially at the backs.
Yeah, I mean, they're training down in Queenstown at the moment.
Are they?
Are they?
Like I follow them on Instagram. Hey, if you're a true supporter, you know your bias, you know your ins and outs. You know who's coming and who's going, and you know where they are. And right now they're in Queenstown training.
That's with the time management issue you have right there.
Yeah, no, I just follow them, bro. I just haven't bought any new gear lately, but we'll see how it goes with the tricolours. But no, man, boys, I just want to say thank you, Thank you for having me on.
It's all good, man.
Like, appreciate this, Like, I've never done a podcast before, but yeah, I appreciate just.
Ken's called this the back of the 135 KB edition. Yeah, nah. Before you answered the call, Docs.
Proud Calstonian, you know. I haven't lived out west for nearly 10 years now, but I'm living in CA. But I mean, home will always be home.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying my time out in Central. But no, I don't usually come out west often, you know. But Mum only lives down the road actually, so
Yeah.
I used to come out here all the time. But now that she's passed on, I haven't really come out here much unless I'm going to the cemetery. But no, it's good to come on this side of town again and see you and meet you, Cam. Appreciate it, bro.
All good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, man.
See, Doc.
Thanks, Mala.